We are going to get into Asmodeus and Fizaroli, their relationship. I think that their relationship is probably one of the most heartfelt and really cute relationships. Psychologically, I think that their relationship does a lot of really good things. But there are a few tiny cautionary tales in there as well. So let's get into the psychology of Ozzy and Fiz together and how their relationship works and some of the ways that I might say you might want to take a little look at.
And then you have a nooner with Prince Stolas.
You scheduled me during lunch.
Well, I left time for a big old breakfast.
Let me guess. I'm handling that too.
The first thing that I'd like to call attention to is the voice that Asmodeus uses. So usually he uses this really big, tough voice.
Do you have any idea who you are?
But around Fizaroli, he uses this cutesy voice and often a show of affection, someone that we care about in this kind of want to protect and take care of way. And so we use this kind of babying voice that we use. And we also sometimes use that for animals and dogs, people that we feel strong affection with, and children. And for some people, they think that it is demeaning or it's talking down to, but this is a strong show of affection. And also, it shows that for Asmodeus, he can let down his guard and he doesn't have to act like this big, tough guy around Fizaroli.
Maybe I could burn the milk this time.
Stop.
Oh, you know what I'm craving? Burgers!
No, it's too early for burgers, you maniac.
Burger time, burger time, burger time!
They're just so cute together. When you can bug, tease, make fun of someone else and they don't take offense to that, that means that they really understand where you're coming from. And I just love when he goes like, no, you maniac, because like, it's just like something that someone may not share that they really like with anyone else. And this person, he's judging, but he adores him for it. And that's another point in relationships. Some of the things sometimes that you can be attracted to someone with is something that's like, anyone else would be like, ew. But when you find it adorable when everyone else might judge someone else for it, it also shows how strongly aligned you are to this person, that everything that you have is filtered through this lens of affection. They're the cutest couple in the whole world. So I'm pausing it right here, and this shows one of the dynamics that are in play in their relationship. And it says, King of Oz, is he a hypocrite? He's supposed to be the overlord of lust, and yet he's fallen in love. Now, the thing is, for me, like, you can have both. You can have love and lust. One does not mean that you cannot have the other. And for a lot of relationships, that is actually one of the glues that stick the relationships together as well. So I don't really think it's hypocritical, but that he's denying that he loves Fizaroli because he thinks that it will undermine his King of Lust title as an overlord. That's another piece that they have to wrangle with.
I can get you an escort.
Ah, I can handle it! Come on, Big Daddy, please!
Well, you know I can't say no to a face that cute.
That's why I use it.
Just try to stay out of trouble, Fizzy Frog.
Often you could say that manipulation in relationships isn't a good thing. You want to make sure that you're being really open with people, but in this case, it's not really manipulation because they both know what's at play, and in most cases, Ozzy's going to try to do everything that he can to make Fizzy happy. Asmodeus is quite a caretaker. He's very protective. He's a very strong figure, and because he has a lot of power and a lot of control, he's used to that. I think that that's one of the things that Fizaroli was attracted to Asmodeus with, is how strong and protected he is. I think that that's also the reason that he was so attached to Blitz, that Blitz in a lot of ways was his protective older brother. Perhaps more, you can watch my little short on that, but I think that that is what he wants. He's attracted to someone that can take care of him, make him feel safe, and make him feel loved, because that was something that he was lacking in his own childhood. It's also cute that he's wrapped around his finger, that he literally had his tail wrapped around his finger, and I think that was a cute interplay to see how the relationship works.
I was wondering if you could assist me.
Oh, Stolas, my heart bleeds for you, but my partner, business partner, Fizaroli, hates your imp guy, Blitzo, right?
He does? But why?
Not my story to tell, but trust me, I would help if I could, but I can't. Sorry.
I love that he does not share a story that is his not to tell. There's something really cool about that kind of respect. I think that a lot of times, especially now with social media, everyone's kind of sharing all their dirty laundry out in public. I find that that isn't giving respect to the people that are around you. I think that you should share the stories that are yours and not share the stories that are someone else's. And in this case, he's honest, there's an issue, but also gives Fizzaroli the respect of, if he wants to share it, you have to go to him. And that stops a lot of those questions or issues in relationships when you're really just kind of direct and open, and even if you know something, you're going to keep the secrets of the people that you love. That is so cute. His ringtone for Fizzaroli is just a little tiny cute little frog croak. I'm going to play it again just because it's so cute. Like, that's just so cute that he took the time to do that. I get why he hides how affectionate and loving he is, because he's so sweet, thoughtful, and romantic as a partner to do those kind of things because they bring him joy. And so that's just such a cute little difference between who he actually is versus what he portrays to everyone else, the part he plays or that he feels that he has to. And sometimes we get stuck into having to portray ourselves in a certain light to make everyone else happy or to fulfill a role that we are having. And for him, he has a business and people that look up to him. And that tough guy image, which totally fits with still being romantic and loving. But I think a lot of times, even still today, people get judged for that.
I have your little jester here with me. If you want him back alive, you will give me exactly what I want.
Do you have any idea who you are?
It often hurts us more to see the person we love in danger or in pain than it would be to have ourselves in that danger and pain. I think that a lot of people that are in close relationships feel exactly the same way. They would rather it happening to them than watching someone else suffer. That secondary watch or secondary worry for those that we care about causes us such distress that it is much worse because it's a feeling of not having control. If you're going through it yourself, you have a sense of an element of control. You know what's happening. And a lot of people that are controlling in nature, it's to be able to stop bad things from happening. And here it has come to him that something bad has happened. And I think that for Asmodeus, he's allowed, and I don't like using that term, but in this case, I do think that he could have and he thought about stopping him from going out, which is a damaging thing for a relationship and would be the wrong thing to do. But I think that he feels a certain amount of guilt. He let him go out, he didn't make sure that he was safe and protected, and something bad happened. Often for people that are more controlling, they want to stop things from happening. Then if something bad happens, they often will kind of close up ranks and become even more controlling and trying to protect someone else, which can become a dangerous or slippery slope to go on, as there's no way to control things. You can't control the uncontrollable, and it just makes you spin.
That's it! I'm going to end your life!
Fizzy!
I just love it. That is like that moment, you just see that those both sides to who he is. We kind of carry our different masks that we use depending on the situation on hand. And there's sometimes that you only see one side of someone because you only see them at work or you only see them at play. And you don't really recognize that we're often many facets. We're not always sweet. We're not always funny. To be in a relationship, you want to be comfortable with all the different facets of the person that you're with. You kind of can put on these masks as tools that are helpful for you at certain times. And also, our personality types are not one-dimensional. There are many different facets to us all. Stolas, how he makes this little happy noise of seeing how loving they were, how accepting he is, and just how cute and sweet it was. Strong emotions actually are contagious. And so if you're not feeling bitter about something, you can feel joy because other people feel joy too. And Stolas is definitely also one of those feelers. And I think a lost romantic. We'll see what happens with him.
I'm so glad you're okay, babe. You ain't never leaving the palace without protection again.
And so that's the little tiny piece to it, is that a little bit controlling, and that's the problem. because Ozzy is so powerful and because he can keep him safe and protected, it though can become too much. You can become lost in that protection or feel that you need it. Often when you're dealing with someone that has anxiety, they need to go outside of their comfort zone to practice things, to test things. And again, in this case, especially if you're a celebrity, probably he should have a certain amount of protection because people can use that or it could hurt him. But you could see how Fizzy might actually get lost in that. And what happens with anxiety is when you start withdrawing from different situations, you feel more anxiety to go back out, and then your bubble of life becomes smaller and smaller, almost like you're getting vacuum wrapped. And no matter how close inside, you never start to feel safe.
Well, don't worry. Today I learned that I hate going outside.
You won't have to again.
And that's the problem. Because Fizz had such a bad situation, had a bad reaction to going outside, he never wants to do it again. He's now avoided it. The best friend to anxiety, you want to make it worse, avoid it. Because when you avoid anxiety, you feel relief. When you get away from a situation that causes you anxiety, you actually are giving your brain a cookie, a reward. So you avoid something, you feel relief, then you want to avoid it even more. So he's actually creating an anxiety disorder with him. And unfortunately, Asmodeus, in wanting to protect him and keep him safe, and because he feels distress in seeing those he loves in distress, will encourage that and not have him go outside, and will do everything for him. And often when you have someone that's dealing with a strong anxiety disorder or an addiction, you end up with the people that enable you. And it feeds his already controlling nature. And so even though they are one of the sweetest couples, there are some pieces, some cautionary tales that I would say you have to be careful for this. Because sometimes out of love and out of care, you could do the wrong thing for someone around you. And on the outside, it looks like love. Even things that are done out of the goodness of your heart may not be the right thing. You can do the right thing and it can be the wrong thing. So even though I usually say it's the intentions that matter, the actions and the repercussions of that can have strong and lasting detrimental effects.
How was your day?
I was stuck with Stolas the whole time, who, by the way, asked me to give him one of my crystals as a gift for that guy you hate. So, I told him no.
Oh, he's so cute. Asmodeus is so cute. I love that he was like, I told him no. And you see the smile on his face. This was a gift. He was giving him an offering. He did something just to be able to protect and love in alignment with Fizzaroli. And those are like gifts that we give to other people in relationships. He usually probably would have taken care of him, helped him out, but he did this just because he understood how Fizzaroli feels. And that makes people feel really seen and heard. And also those are those little moments where you are aligned with someone else. They feel something, and just because your partner feels something, you're gonna feel something with them. And I think that it's really cute that he offered this, and then he tells him with such glee and happiness because he wants to bring that feeling of joy to Fizzaroli as well.
Nah. Let him have it.
Excuse me?
Yeah, why not? You could say he earned it.
All right then. Anything for you.
He didn't have to go into a big story as to why he didn't get angry at him for changing his mind. They both don't fear confrontation from the other. They'll say things even though they don't want to hurt each other, and sometimes they do things without being completely transparent. Yes, Fizzaroli, but they both did. I also think that it's wonderful that Asmodeus was able to just take the change in behavior and allow it to go in effect, not have to be angry or upset at him for changing his mind. That allows us to be able to discuss different situations without the fear of a confrontation or making the other person angry.
Ozzy! Where did my foundation go?
This is the 10th year in a row you've done this stupid pageant, Froggy. How come you're always so dead set on this?
I want to make Mammon proud, okay? He expects perfection, so I gotta be perfect.
If you're also wondering why this is kind of chopped up into like there's a whole bunch of pieces missing, this one's dealing mostly with Fizzaroli and Asmodeus. But if you want the other part to these episodes, you'd want to take a look at the episode that goes through Fizzaroli being perfect, which has a lot of Fizz and Blitz.
Fizz, you ain't perfect. Nobody is.
And that is such great advice, to be able to lower that feeling of need to someone else that they have to perform to a certain level. Perfectionists are often doing that because of fear of failure, for the need to control, for the thought that if they don't do things at a certain level that they failed, or people that are going to judge them, or they're not going to be good enough and they're going to be abandoned. Asmodeus stating, which I think I've stated I don't know how many times so far, that no one is perfect and perfection does not exist. Hopefully that gives him a little feeling of relief. But often people will hear that and say, but I still have to do this to a certain level and keep trying to be more perfect and achieve the unachievable.
I just don't want you doing all this for someone's approval. Sometimes heroes let you down.
I know, Oz, but this is for me. I don't want to lose.
And it's also a true statement. I think that Asmodeus knows that he's not really doing it for him, that he's being controlled by this want to be able to be looked at by this father figure as good enough. But often you never really can, and that want is within you. I think that it's really healthy that he gives his advice, but he doesn't hammer it home. He doesn't force it into him. We often think that because we have the answer that we can kind of beat someone down with it and make them get to our point. But often ideas need time to germinate, that they take time for us to be able to process, and we have to kind of think about this. So often you want to just kind of plant some seeds, be there to be able to support, and allow someone else the ability to make the mistake and get to their conclusions on their own. This is a path, a journey that Fizaroli has to take on his own. And for someone like Asmodeus to be able to back off and allow him that, I think is a really healthy part of their relationship.
Remind me why you're here again.
I invited him to help you. I felt he'd be the next best thing. Well, he kept you safe when I wasn't able to, so I trust that.
Asmodeus is not being completely transparent. If he's calling up your friend to be able to ask them to do something and give secret information, that can make Fizaroli, which I think he already knows that there was more up with this, feel betrayed or feel like he's talking behind his back, and can cause him trust issues. For Asmodeus, he should be a little bit more clear of, yeah, you know what, I'm sorry, I called him up, he was there to protect you, I feel worried about that, and I also want someone to be able to watch your back around Maman and to be able to give you some differing opinions as well. Sorry, I should have run it by you, because he should have run it by you. Now, let's just say it. He didn't run it by him, because if he did, Fiz would be like, no, I don't want this. So he, I think, put the safety of Fizaroli above the feelings of their relationship. And in this case, because he actually was in imminent danger beforehand, was possibly the smarter of those moves, but definitely can cause a relationship issue going forward, and not something except for in extreme cases would I say is something that you should have as your go-to way of dealing with things. Asmodeus also wants Blitz to be able to give him some different feelings about Maman. I know I always call him Maman, I'm sorry, French thing. But he wants that differing opinion in his ear. And I think that that goes a little bit too far to be able to try to control someone else's behavior. But I also think that Asmodeus has learned to be able to trust Blitz, because he's also kind of a straight shooter and he doesn't have any filter and just says what he feels. And because they both feel the same way, he'd like him to be around him.
It's okay. You're fine. You need to be fine.
Fizz! Are you okay?
Is it just coincidence he has the little tiny heart compact that Asmodeus knew right away to show up and suddenly goes into his bedroom, even though he doesn't usually do that? Is this kind of like a scrying mirror that he can keep an eye on Fizz? It wouldn't surprise me. I also love that he calls him Fizzy Frog. I think that's the cutest name.
Why does everyone keep asking me that? You shouldn't be here, Asmodeus. I'm fine. Please.
Froggy.
I'm fine. I'm fine. Just needed a minute.
You aren't okay. You're shaking.
And that's something nice that you can do when you're trying to comfort someone else that may be really anxious or nervous. Sometimes you're not aware that you are. And so to be able to mirror back and state what they're going through, but your hands are in a fist, but you're speaking really loudly, but you're stomping, there's a shake in your voice. Sometimes we're unaware of it. And if you're not doing it to humiliate or embarrass the other person, it can sometimes make them aware that, oh my goodness, I actually am more nervous than I am aware of. I think that for this case, Fizaroli does know that he's really anxious, and he doesn't want Asmodeus to be able to be worried or caretake him. Sometimes to be able to have someone else that is there and loving and safe and supportive can be good, but in the end you also want to be able to deal with your anxiety on your own, because you can't always have someone else there, and you don't want to become dependent on someone. It's okay to have the help of someone, but to become dependent means that you're not able to take care of it yourself either, and so you want to gain those skills. Plus, it can end up with an enmeshed relationship, which I think that Asmodeus and Fizaroli are kind of on the cusp of, that it could become this enmeshment that one cannot exist without the other, or doesn't feel safe, or feels a lot of anxiety when they're not there, and that can become a unhealthy relationship because you end up feeling animosity towards the person from one, controlling you and forcing you to do certain things, and the other, when you leave me, I'm not okay, and that's your fault. Don't think they're at that yet, but it is one of those little cautions that I would take a look at in their relationship.
I need some time to mentally prepare.
Fiz, come on. I'm trying to talk to you. You can't force yourself
Oz, I have to do this. I just need to be better.
You think you need to be this perfect model performer, but that's because Mammon is always forcing that image onto you.
And I don't think it's just Mammon that's forcing this image onto him. I believe that this is also the inner dialogue that Fiz has with himself, that he's constantly wanting to be more perfect, that he feels that if other people knew who he was on the inside, they wouldn't like it, that in order to be good enough, it is in what he produces and what he does. And so it becomes this constant need to do better, be better, because on your own, you're not enough. And for a lot of us, we're always trying to do more, be better, to be able to be loved and accepted. And I think that also sometimes we feel that if we fail or we make a mistake, then we are a failure, then we are a mistake. And so it's not just him proving it to Maman. I think that it is true. Fiz is trying to prove it to himself. And that's a hard thing for others to get through to you. You really have to work on that journey on your own.
Because I feel like if I lose this, I lose you.
How would you lose me? Come on, Froggy.
You're with me because of who I am at my best. I'm barely worthy of working with a king of sin because this is who I am.
I love that he shared it, his deep, dark fear that he's at his best. It's when he's sparkly, when he's talented, that's the reason that Ozzy stays with him. That because he's the king of sin, he needs to have the best of things. But when you really love someone, you love them even for their dark parts, for their mistakes. It doesn't mean that you don't want them to be better, that you shouldn't want to be better. Asmodeus does a really good job of trying to comfort and allow Fizaroli to truly know that he isn't with him because of his performance, because of what he can do. But often our strongest relationships are how the other person makes us feel, who they see us as, and that interplay that we have with each other.
Without all this, I'm just nothing. And Mammon made me this. I owe it all to him.
Fiz.
I think it's also important that Fizaroli took off his headdress. One is because you want to show Asmodeus of what it's like for him, but I think it's also really important that he could drop his guard without fear. And Asmodeus didn't even flinch. This is something that he's seen before. He doesn't care. He loves him for the inside, not for all of the pieces that are on the outside. And that's something that's really special in relationships. If you are attracted to someone because of these superficial things, you could lose that. And the deepest relationships we can have is when we accept someone and love them, even though we know they're not perfect, because none of us are.
You are the most inspiring demon I've ever known. And meeting you was the best thing that ever happened to me. I adore your inventiveness, your attitude, your resilience. And you're just the cutest little thing alive. Also, you are a way better performer than Mammon ever was. And that's just facts.
A wonderful thing to do when someone else is going through this feeling of imposter syndrome is to actually name the facts. Now, I would add to it that he shouldn't just say, I love your inventiveness. He should give a reason. Asmodeus could add to that by giving a concrete example, such as for his inventiveness of, you were really inventive when you did this. That makes it stick better. Words can kind of go through us. They don't hold, but when they're attached to an event that we actually did and you're asking them, What, don't you think that that was inventive? It's much harder for us to dismiss ourselves. I often have people go through their character traits, but I attach them always to an event or a reason why they believe it. It is so hard to dismiss the truth of who you are when you have facts, concrete facts that you know of, that you've done, that you've processed. But sometimes we dismiss ourselves and all of the wonderful things that we've done. I think that he did a great job, but I would add that little piece to it. And then after, I would have Fizzaroli be the one to be able to state them to me. So it's not my words, they're his.
You make my crooked heart do froggy little flips.
Ribbit.
I love all of the hearts. There's all of these beautiful hearts, little tiny Easter eggs that show up.
You're gonna listen to me now!
Oh, so you two are an item.
When Fizzaroli and Asmodeus are together, and I just think that was just really cute that the gunshot becomes a heart when they have this kind of moment. I also love that Blitz is the one there to be able to save the day. That's the good friend that you need.
I quit. I'm done. Good day, mate.
Oh, that.
I gave you everything! You are practically in my image! I raised you like the son I didn't want!
I think that it's a healthy thing that Asmodeus did in letting Fizzaroli be there to be able to take care of things himself. But he's also paying attention that if he needs him, he's there as backup. I think that sometimes, especially when we are naturally protective, we sometimes jump in too soon to be able to save and rescue someone. In this case, it allowed Fizzaroli to be able to tell Memon how he actually felt, to be able to stand up for himself, but he's waiting in the wings just in case, that if he needs him, he's still there. And when we're dealing with parenting, relationships, people we're close to, that's that right amount of being able to be a partner. If you need me, I'll show up.
Oh, look who's acting like a big hero. Careful what you say, Ozzy.
Wouldn't want your little secret getting out, would we?
I don't care anymore.
Us?
I love him? Well, I do. Oh.
And that's the thing with secrets, with him just saying, you know what, I don't care. I love him, let everyone know. Now they don't have any power over him and he can be able to be free and they can share it. So I think that it was a wonderful move for Asmodeus. In losing Fizzaroli and in having all of this distress, he realized that that matters more than anything else. And for what about their agreement? It was definitely that Fizzaroli was fine with it. It was Asmodeus that was the one that wasn't so sure about sharing this information, because him being the king of sin and lust and being brutish and being the owner of Ozzy's, where it's all about not love, just lust, that it would give him the bad reputation. So I think that he was ready to let that go. Yeah, I don't think he's gonna mind. I don't think that he's really gonna regret that. I think that they're gonna enjoy their relationship and nothing else is gonna matter. I don't have an ad this week, so I will request instead, please, you could hit the subscribe button. That would mean a lot to me. Thank you for everyone that does. You can let me know in the comments if you did, because in the end, it's about getting more videos out there to be able to get the views to do the content that I love. So thank you to everyone that supports my channel, and hopefully I'll see you in the next video.